Hello to all you nope, that's not it. It's been a while since I fucked up an intro. Hello to all you patriots out there in podcast land, and welcome to episode 137 of Canadian Patriot Podcast, the #1 live podcast in Canada. We're recording on Monday, June 4th, 2018.
Hi, I'm Gavin, a business owner, gun enthusiast, hunter, atheist, and CCFR field officer for the GTA.
I'm Tim. I'm a sports shooter and the owner and operator of Tim's Good T-shirts. They're quite good. I'm also the proud descendant of immigrants.
As always, my name is Andrew. I'm your host. I'm a recovering libertarian, a competitive shooter, and a firearms instructor at Ragnarok Tactical. And I sold tacos today, even though it's not Tuesday. If you want tacos as a listener, you should use code Patriot at checkout to save 5%.
Dude, tacos are great on Tuesday, but they are good any day of the week.
I delivered some piping hot multicam black tacos this afternoon to a customer. He was quite happy.
Sexy. You know, he'll have to get some of the multicam Ultimas coming out in July to go with that.
Ooh, speaking of, the Coyote Brown Ultima Maritime Assault boots are now available at the distributor in Ontario. So no more having to wait if you want those. No more special order. They're going to be in stock. I just got to update the website because I just got the notice on the weekend that they're going to have the Coyote ones right here in Canada without having to special order them.
Nice. Well, on that note, we'd love to hear your feedback about the show. So please visit CanadianPatriotPodcast.com/feedback or email us at feedback@CanadianPatriotPodcast.com. Tell us how you like hearing or dislike hearing about how autistic we get about our shoes and tacos. A version of the show is available on everything.
22s.
We haven't done that episode yet. Yeah, a version of the show is available on Stitcher and iTunes. Or, on YouTube.
You should check the podcast out on Facebook and Instagram. Go to your social media /Canadian Patriot Podcast. Those are the only social media we use. You got to do Facebook or Instagram.
We need your help to support the show. Visit www.patreon.com/CPP and become a Patreon. You can get a better quality version of the show for just $1 per episode, and the more you pledge, the better the rewards are. Show you're not a communist. Buy a CPP t-shirt for just $19.99 plus shipping and theft. Visit CanadianPatriotPodcast.com, go to the homepage, and follow the link on the right.
Arrowhead Coffee is owned and operated by Canadian Armed Forces veterans. They love our country, the true North, strong and free, their family and friends. Join Arrowhead Coffee for their hunt to bring them. Wow, I haven't messed up an ad read in a while either. Today is not my day. I swear I've only had one beer.
It's bringing it all back.
Arrowhead Coffee is owned and operated by Canadian Armed Forces veterans. They love our country. Buy Arrowhead Coffee. It's good. Arrowhead Coffee brings us What Are We Drinking? I'm probably going to stop after this beer because clearly the homebrew, she's strong. Gavin, what are you drinking?
I'm drinking Crown Apple and Coke Zero again this evening because it's delicious.
Good stuff. Tim, what are you drinking?
I'm drinking 40 Creek Copper Pot and chilled tea.
Ooh, nice. Giving Tyler's little recipe a try, eh?
It's tasty.
Interesting. It's good?
Yes, it's pretty good.
I did try the Crown Apple and chilled tea, and that was quite good.
That sounds like a very good summer drink.
Oh, yeah. I could see myself, lounging out by like the helipad, just
a kiddie pool full of ice.
Yeah.
And that.
And then sitting in it while I drink it because I'm disgusting like that.
But you know what you like.
Yep, and not afraid to admit it.
Well, that's something. Let's do some news. We'll start with another reason why only the police should have firearms. Coming to us from Global News. Alberta sheriff accidentally shoots herself at Northeast Edmonton gun range.
Oh, that one.
Well, this is a new one, although the range we have talked about before last summer, earlier this year, Another officer at the Edmonton Police Service Gun Club negligently discharged their pistol into themselves. And this past weekend, an off-duty Edmonton sheriff managed to, or I guess Alberta sheriff. I think they're provincial. I'm not really sure how sheriffs work in Alberta. I assume that they only use 6-shooters and have big mustaches.
Yeah, and cowboy hats.
Well, it's Edmonton. Everyone has cowboy hats. That's a given.
It's true.
So this is another incident where a police officer, or I guess a peace officer in this case, because again, not entirely clear on sheriffs, managed to, according to the article, accidentally discharge the firearm into their lower extremities.
If they did that on purpose, then there's something wrong with them for sure.
Well, we've talked about it before, and not to totally beat the dead horse, but if you carry a firearm as part of your profession, it's not accidental, it's negligence. You negligently discharge the firearm into your lower extremities. I'm glad the sheriff in question will be okay. I'm glad that there was no other people's injured, but this is like twice in a year where somebody at this particular private shooting range that's only for law enforcement has managed to negligently discharge their firearm into themselves.
I would say that if you have a gun range that is specifically for cops, there's definitely going to be a higher rate of negligent discharges into extremities. Statistically speaking, of course.
At least they realize that there's a problem and they don't let the public in there.
That's true. Now,
but I thought when you were talking about like police and negligent discharges, I thought but of course it's only Canadian news. But I just recently there's the that FBI man who does a backflip in a club, and his gun falls out of the ground and it goes off and shoots like a bystander.
No, it's cool though. He does the my bad sort of shrug. So
my bad.
Totally, yeah, it's totally fine. But that's also why you don't use Uncle Mike's holsters. You get something that's a little bit better quality.
You know what kind of holster you should use? You should go on Ragnarok Tactical and you should special order a holster from Gray Fox Strategic. Yeah, and because you listen to the show, you should use discount code Patriot.
Yeah,
that's what you should do.
That's what I did do. That's what I did do.
Good holsters, yeah, they're quite good.
Well, and you'll get a new holster very soon, Tim. I am assured of this.
Okay.
I don't know if they're quite like backflip capable, but like if I was going to trust any holster to do a backflip, that's probably the one.
Okay, so I can most definitely assure our listeners that if you get the Phoenix holster from Gray Fox Strategic with the level 2 retention, it will definitely sustain you doing a backflip and stay in the holster. I cannot, however, guarantee that I can safely do a backflip. I got hurt, the holster is fine.
Fair. That's fair. Well, there you go, folks. If you're in the FBI and you want to do backflips at the club while drunk, that's the
Gray Fox Strategic. I'm sure Eric's going to love this. You guys can't talk about me on the show anymore. See, this is what happens when you don't take out a sponsor package.
Yeah, we could just get to say whatever we want.
Yeah, you might want to look outside your window. This is what happens.
All right, let's do another one. We've got a disclosure from the 1st of June published in the Globe and Mail. The final cost for the 150 rink on Parliament Hill is still not known. But there was a bunch of financial documents released with what the current tally is up to.
Yeah.
This is not the final number, but the current tally puts it at $8.2 million for less than 3 months of operation.
I think they're still going through Andrea Horwath's expenses to see if she bought an outfit for that.
Yeah, this is crazy. So the ice time at this rink works out to like $10,000, not quite $10,000, works out to just over $9,000 an hour, or about $100,000 a day to operate. Or if you want to break it down by per user cost, $53 a person skated on this stupid rink. Remembering, of course, that they're next to the giant canal that freezes annually.
Yeah, but they weren't allowed to go and like play hockey or have fun or anything on this rink either, though. So
that's true. Fun
That's
has
important.
been strictly outlawed by the Liberal government.
Yeah, it is verboten.
Did we do a carbon study on that?
Oh God.
I want to know if we did a gender analysis. How many of the users were female and or other?
Yeah, it better be a balanced skating.
Right? How many
Great.
trannies froze their business to the rink?
Well, hopefully none. Like, hopefully everyone had pants on, because otherwise that's dangerous. I mean, because then like the cost would be higher because there'd be healthcare dollars and like emergency service people pay and all kinds of stuff. Like,
And did the chill ice affect their Buffalo Bill tuck?
Oh,
probably made it easier. They didn't actually have to tuck it; it turned the outie straight into an innie.
There we go.
And you're good to go.
I'm uncomfortable. Let's talk about something else. Talk about something else that makes me uncomfortable.
Government?
Close. Another reason why only the police should be given any sort of authority or position of power in your life. So, like agents of government. It's not at all like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but it still makes for a terrible miniseries.
I would say that was way better than any sort of TV show based on actual government agencies.
Man, that would be the most boring TV show ever. Did you file your TPS reports? No, did you? Man, we're rebels.
Yeah, but I did do this sweet backflip at the club last night.
Yeah, that's a good point. Right. We've got a corrupt Hamilton police officer that was sentenced to 12.5 years, 6 months already for time served, and ordered to pay a $250,000 fine. Conveniently, the $250,000 fine is the same amount that he's accused of having taken in bribes. Pardon me, having been found guilty of taken in bribes. Detective Constable, not naming this douchebag, this Detective Constable for the Hamilton Police Service was charged in 2013 for offering some sort of a protection racket to the criminals that he was supposed to be investigating, and allegedly has taken $250,000 in bribes. The judge smacked this dude down hard. I really like the judge in this case, but the Hamilton Police Service is finally going to be able to stop paying this individual. I believe he was charged in 2013. He's just been sentenced this past week. So we've been paying for him for 5 years while he's been on trial for various delays and things that have been holding that up.
It's probably twice what his fine is. You know.
Yeah.
Well, no, more.
Oh God!
Because he made the Sunshine List in Ontario. The Sunshine List is a list of government employees who exceed six-figure salaries annually.
Is that where they get sunny ways from?
I find that entirely reasonable. So in 2017, he got $104,000, and in 2015, it was $107,000.
But if he's being charged and investigated, why is he still working?
Well, okay, so here's the thing. Police Services Act, while they're suspended, they are still, in most cases, entitled to being paid, and they're required. The police services, or the police service rather, it's required to pay them unless various criteria are met. And one of those criteria is being given a criminal sentence. Not being on trial for it, but actually having the sentence handed down. So the Hamilton Police Service can finally stop paying this individual.
Yeah, but like they should at least like, you're not working, which means you're going to get your absolute minimum base pay, which isn't going to put you on the friggin' $100,000 plus list.
Right. So as he was not working, how was he a police, or like a detective constable that was making $107,000 a year in base salary?
Yeah, he should get like $7 a year, like a fucking doorstop.
That's $6 a year more than we should probably be paying. But I mean, like, seriously, this dude makes $52 an hour. Like, doesn't that seem kind of high?
Plus whatever he's making on the side too, right? Like,
wow, $250,000 for however long he was investigating these douchebags that he was supposed to have arrested.
yeah. See, this is the thing. Like, I mean, I'm not one of those guys that's like, fuck cops. But like, this is the kind of guy that makes people say fuck cops because
yeah, and I mean in some cases, like,
and rightly
guy,
so.
Fuck this guy.
Yeah. You know, any cop that like knows that this guy was a shitbag and didn't do anything about it, you're not helping the system either, man. Like, I mean, I get it. Like, if you got to kick in a door and you need this guy to watch your back, you don't want to like shit
for
on
an example, we could use his wife, who is also a Hamilton police officer, who has been recorded on some of the phone calls where he was caught doing things that are illegal and helping criminals.
Exactly. Like, if you're a good cop and you know a shitty cop, don't support them. Don't turn a blind eye.
Definitely don't marry them. This guy is definitely not marriage material.
Yeah. Like,
the judge was really brutal, though. I mean, like, some of the stuff the judge says about the officer in question feeling particularly arrogant and having a sense of supreme entitlement. Like, I enjoyed the judge's commentary on this.
Yeah, it's about time that someone was actually hard on a cop that, I mean...
Well, okay, so not just verbally hard. Like, I mean, okay, so like Judge Clark saying the conduct for which the officer must now answer is motivated by sheer unbridled greed. That's like... How good is that? The judge was like, nah, these ideas aren't severe enough. You need to come up with a better punishment. Try again.
Your auto tune. Did you lose him, Gavin?
He froze up for a little bit, but yeah, I got him now.
Your auto tune froze up for about 5 seconds.
Really?
You're full rant.
Yeah. Well, probably because some of the cops are listening in and are like, "Fuck what Andrew has to say. We're protecting our own."
But all of the CSIS agents just tuned in and
crashed
probably
everything.
As the pants got tight.
Thin blue line. But I remember there was a cop somewhere in Ontario, like, and he got into some shit, and he had like 3 years of like paid leave, and then they finally fired him, and he wrote like this disgusting letter going, thanks, I've been down south golfing and doing this, and like I got connections in the fire department, and I'll be a fireman in like a month. So he's just like,
getting paid vacation for 3 years, and then goes to do another civil service job where he's probably going to get ridiculous amounts of money and get away with doing stupid shit again.
Yeah, probably.
Effectively, no consequences.
Yeah, or that other, like that cop that was found with like the snub nose revolver and switchblades and brass knuckles and everything, like crossing the border. And they just like gave him a slap on the wrist.
Oh yeah, I forget how small it was, but it was absurd. It was like
a
couple of days pay.
I mean, like I'm a firm believer in that, like everybody needs to be treated equally. But if we are going to have a set of like 2 sets of rules, it's the cops and people in authority that should be held to that higher standard because they know better, right? Not the other way around. Civilians shouldn't be held to that higher standard. The people that enforce the rules and make up the rules, if anyone is held to a higher standard, it's them because, they should know better. Like, there's no excuse.
I support this.
I mean, fuck, especially if you're making like $100,000 already a year. What do you need to be taking bribes for? Like,
bass boat.
Yeah.
Not making I don't know. Good for this judge. Even better that we don't have to pay him out of the public purse any longer. He's gotten enough of our money.
Yep. That's what I say to that guy.
Well brought up. Wish you were.
Yeah, but the judge had his family hugging and sobbing in court. So Must have been quite a show.
Yeah, I imagine. Let's pivot, talk about the Ontario election, which will be this week. Have you guys voted yet? You can do your early votes.
Not yet.
Maybe tomorrow.
I like waiting to the last minute, to see, because I keep a running tally.
Really mess with those polls.
Yeah, I keep a running tally of how many political party signs I go past, and that whoever has the most is the one I vote for.
I very nearly got to work as a returns officer for this election, or some position at the polling place, but instead I have to do my real job, so no election for me.
Yeah, well, I tried to join a riding association, and it only took like 4 months to get back to me. Conveniently, just after like all the important shit for the year is done, so.
That seems about right.
Yeah.
Let's do the first one. Premier Wynne concedes that she'll lose Thursday's election, urges voters to elect Liberal MPPs as check on Ford or Horvath. It's from first one's of the Toronto Star. I don't think that there is another example where a premier of any province in Canada, let alone Ontario, has walked into an election and said, I'm not going to win. I think this is a first.
Yeah, but I don't like we're not going to win. Vote for us anyways because you've got nothing to lose. Could just be a brilliant strategy to try and get them to win the election. Right? Like, because if you watch her speech, she doesn't say she's stepping down from the party or anything like that. And if there's people that are like, well, I was going to vote Liberal because I didn't want to vote NDP, but I didn't think the Liberals would win in my area, so now I'm going to do this. Like it may go and have them vote Liberal, which, I mean, they're wrong for doing either of those things, but I don't know. It could be like one of those weird, brilliant strategies. I hope it's not. I hope she truly does lose. And it was the most pathetic, awkward, unnatural press conference I've ever seen. Her standing in front of that tiny little podium in front of like a kid's jungle gym with people playing on it in the background. That was just weird and awkward.
Was it like some school in North York, though?
Yeah, but
French school.
They could have
it was
been inside or at a quiet park. Like the whole thing just reeked of being staged. Like,
yeah, it was 100%.
Like, and it's so obviously so. Like, it was just like, this is just awkward and weird. Like,
at this point, I honestly don't think it matters because she is so unpopular now.
Oh yeah.
Like, I mean, this really is a last ditch effort. Like, she's like anyone but Ford. Just literally vote for anyone but Ford because we just can't have Ford being premier. Well, I got news for you there, crazy old popcorn man. The Ford is going to be the premier. At least that's how I read the Abacus's latest poll. Which had been Abacusai. I don't know. There was polling data released from over the weekend, and the pollsters are actually starting to get into like better numbers because like up to this point, like Main Street and Ipsos, two of the larger polling firms are doing like 1,000-person polls, primarily by telephone, which is, I mean, it may as well be within the margin of error for the actual poll. Like,
yeah.
So we're finally starting to see data from some other polling firms, including Abacus, online, which self-selected poll, whatever. We know there's biasing in there, but at least we're starting to get to like 2,500 plus people. We're starting to get bigger numbers, but still not, I think, realistic numbers. But now we're showing like what's effectively going to be a three-way tie. Like just within the margins of error, it's effectively going to be a three-way tie. I actually think it's going to be closer between the PC and the NDP, and the Liberals will be in a very sad third place by the time this is all done.
Yeah, that's my prediction as well. And I mean, and my prediction is purely based on driving around and seeing who has signs on their lawn. Not that they influence me on how to vote, but that's just show of support. Like, these people have had these out there from day one, and I see a hell of a lot of blue signs, a bunch of orange ones, and not all that many red ones. The houses that have red ones usually have multiple red ones on them.
Yeah.
But, I mean, there's a lot of blue signs out there, which is encouraging.
Yeah,
Even seen a few yellow ones.
But I don't know about your guys' writing, but like, and also like the blue signs are also, they're made better. They're constructed like with more attention to detail, and they're in the ground better than the orange and the red signs.
Yeah. Well, they spent all that money on clothing, so the budget for signs was very low. Although I'm sure that when you go look at the books, the budget for signs is going to be very high. But I mean, I've recently, the last couple of weeks, been doing a fair amount of traveling across Ontario, and I would say that there's a lot of blue signs all over Ontario.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree with that. I'm really hoping that we get a majority government. I'm hoping that it's the Conservative majority government, not because I think that Doug Ford is a great leader or because I think the PCs are a great party, but they're the least terrible by a far stretch.
Yeah, at the very least, they want the least amount of our hard-earned money, which we already pay too much.
Yeah. What I love is that Wynne is just so sticking to the belief that it was only her glasses that made people not like her.
Slash it. Slash it.
I feel like Ron Swanson was too quiet for that, but yeah, slash it. Slash it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, basically, yeah, if you watch her concession speech, I mean, the whole thing was just so full of shit. Like, you know, she keeps going
almost
on.
Like it was being delivered by a politician.
Yeah. About, you know, how she did the right thing and she, you know, sorry, not sorry, and all that nonsense that she did in her fucking debates. And, you know, it's like, no, people are angry at you because you fucked up. Like, if you did a good job, you wouldn't have so many people, even people on the left that supported you, wanting change. Like, you angered everybody. Like, you didn't do enough for the left. You did far too much for the people on the right. You pissed everyone off.
Did you have that backwards?
I've got another one. I've got another one that's going to upset people. There's a PC MPP who's claiming that the NDP is now going to try to raise small business taxes by almost 13%.
Hard no.
Yeah, I'm with that. Horvath's plan, apparently, Horvath wants to increase taxes to the richest corporations, but that's very vague and poorly defined, as is most of the NDP's platform and policy. So the increase by 13% to small business taxes, a $2.4 billion increase to the business education tax over 5 years, removal of small business employer health tax exemption, which is estimated to cost $1 billion to small businesses in Ontario over 5 years. I'm not super happy about this plan, the NDP's plan. I mean, all of the parties' plans are kind of vague because I guess that's just how politics in Ontario works now. The PC finally released their plan last week. The NDP's plan sounds terrible, and the Liberals' plan is just next year's budget. So I don't really understand any of their plans, but if this Conservative MPP is anywhere close to accurate, which I imagine he will be, 13% on my small business kind of hurts. Like that's getting close to like my personal income tax rates, which is why I have my small business, so as to not pay those. I feel like the government might be on to me.
Well, just think about it. Like, say you go out, you know, and you're really hungry and you get something to eat, and somebody comes and takes 13% of your lunch.
You've taught them about government.
Yeah. You know, like, would you be okay with that? No.
Well, that's going to be the future of the NDP getting.
Yeah.
Every day. Steal, they're going to steal the food right off your plate.
I enjoy government functions like I enjoy getting kicked in the nuggets with a steel-toed boot.
Yeah. Accurate. Although I'd rather get kicked in the junk than have, food taken off of my table every friggin' meal for the next 4 years.
Yeah,
At least that hurts once.
it's a good point. There's another NDP promise on the table. I don't know how the NDP keeps coming up with, like, last week we talked about all the terrible candidates. We didn't even talk about all the terrible candidates. We talked about some of the terrible candidates.
Yeah.
We talked about some of their bad ideas. Now I've got more bad ideas. Horvath promises rent registry to combat, I've never even heard this word before, renovictions. So pictured on a very nice condo rooftop with what looks like a $4,000 built-in barbecue and a couple $1,000s worth of decking and stonework. And this is downtown Toronto, not far from the Ontario legislature. So I imagine these condos are not inexpensive. Horvath is appealing to the common man in Ontario, or at least the common man in Toronto, and trying to fix some loose ends that the Wynne government left open in regards to landlords evicting tenants to renovate their units. I didn't even know this was a thing because I honestly thought that tenants had so many rights in Ontario.
They do.
To, like, what landlords had. Like, I didn't even know that this was a problem. I guess I haven't lived in Toronto long enough, or at least when I lived in Toronto, wasn't spending enough money on housing that this affected me. So they want to create a rent registry so tenants know how much a landlord has charged for a product, for a rental property in the past. So I guess what's happening is people are being evicted from their rental unit so that the landlord can renovate, and then the landlord is renting the unit out for more money post renovation.
Yeah, but that's kind of how that works.
Well, and then that's where I get confused with the communism, because I don't see the problem with that. I mean, I'm not really down with like landlords just arbitrarily kicking people out of their residences, because
no, and you can't
stuff.
Yeah,
well, and that's what I thought was you couldn't just kick people out of their residences. So
no, I've done a little bit of reading on this because of some friends that have been in some places and they didn't understand how to read regulations, so I did it for them. And so a landlord cannot, like, if you don't pay rent, it still takes forever for a landlord to kick you out.
Yeah, don't you have to go to tribunal? Like, isn't it like a 4 or 5 month process?
It's super difficult. So the only times they can like legitimately kick you out is if you don't pay, but you don't pay for a long time and then it goes to a tribunal, or they need to move into the unit, or a family member needs to move into the unit, or they need to do renovations. But you can't just kick somebody out for renovations and then not actually follow through and do like legitimate renovations, which are going to cost you money and bring the apartment up to a better standard and be all this and that, in which case legally you could be allowed to charge money for it, because
that's what I would have expected was if you were going to do like a major renovation, because I've rented apartments where renovations and like significant repairs have been required while I was residing in that rental unit. But I've never had like, oh yeah, we gonna gut this whole thing, new walls, new everything, new floors. Like you and your shit have got to get out.
That's super rare. Like super rare. It's usually generally in a case where it's like, okay, this particular apartment is like a disaster. Like you need to leave because there is no way you can stay here during renovations or anything because it's not safe. Get out.
And I could understand that, but again, I can't see most landlords being like, well, you've been a tenant here for 15 years and you think this is your home, and we need to bring it up to current whatevers. I would think most
collecting the money.
Right. And that's so I feel like the NDP is like communism in search of a problem that doesn't exist.
Yeah, like I'm sure there's probably like, a few people across the province that this has happened to. But I don't think this is like an epidemic because, again, like if I was a landlord, I'd rather just keep collecting that money and not sink any money into doing renos.
Yeah. But this is just
Right.
such an NDP communist piece of shit reaction. There's someone who has
the only way to protect the poor people is to make more laws and use government to enforce these regulations. Using force of arms.
Make a government regulation that someone who has invested in a piece of property that they are not allowed to try to better the return on investment that they're getting. Like that's
you're already locked in.
Yeah,
you're already
what's next?
How much you can raise rent year to year to year as long as the tenant stays.
That's more interference in the free market. But the thing is, this is just like, except it has to do with someone's home. Like someone's if the renter's home. But this is just like if you were to make a law that you weren't allowed to make, that your mutual funds weren't allowed to make more than 2% per year because it created problems. It's just they're literally begging people to make and regulations that'll stop someone from getting the most return on investment that they can, and that is not free market. That is not capitalism. That's communist shit.
Well, and I'm curious how this is going to address the housing shortage in major urban centers like Toronto, like Hamilton, like Ottawa, like all these places where there is not enough affordable housing for the proletariat. How is this going to make more people want to become landlords and house the proletariat?
It's also going to just...
They're not even good at communism, communist.
Yeah.
It's just going to incentivize them to not renovate apartments at all.
Yeah, but imagine if your neighbors filed an injunction against you to get you to stop making improvements to your house because it was going to put their taxes up.
Yeah.
It's just you own that property. You should have no regulations and restrictions leveled against you within reason.
I absolutely no, not even within. It is my property. I should be able to do whatever I want to do to it, up into the point where it affects somebody else's property. Yeah. And I mean, in a tangible way. If I don't know, if I start dumping motor oil in my backyard and it leaches into all of my neighbors' groundwater, that's a legitimate. Okay, can't do that. But if I want to put up a bigger fence, if I want to fly fucking drones in my backyard,
you want a bigger fence so that you can suntan in the nude and no one can see you,
except the drones.
Drones.
Yeah, but I mean, they're his drone. They're his drones. Yeah, so it's okay. If they fly their drones in your yard, that's
whatever I do on my property is my business and my problem until it leaves my property. And when it leaves my property, fine. Then you have that case that you can make. But until I violate the non-aggression principle, you can fuck right off and leave my property alone.
Yeah. And I mean, I guess if you're renting, you do obtain certain rights and privileges that extend because of that contract that you've signed, but they're only bound by that contract. So at the end of your rental agreement, if the renter doesn't want to renew the contract, tough shit. It sucks because that's your home and it could have been your home for 35 years. But at the end of that, the guy's like, you know what? I'm not doing this. I want to do something with this property. I just want to set the whole thing on fire and watch it burn. They own it. They should be able to do that. It sucks, but they should be able to do that.
Yeah, I'm on the same page. So let's do something a little different. Globe and Mail's got an opinion piece that I want to chat with you guys about. Choosing none of the above in the Ontario election is a cop-out.
Agreed. End of discussion.
Agreed. Yes. Do your fucking homework. Pick the person you honestly believe will do the least damage to you and your fellow country people.
Yeah. Whether I agree with your choice or not, Tim nailed it right there. A no vote or a none of the above vote, as much as I would, in principle, kind of love that idea, it's a cop-out. Make a decision.
Well, okay, so here's the here, right? This is the problem, and Tim is right. We are regulated to living in a democratic society under an elected government. If you decide not to elect the people in government, you're not doing your job as a citizen of that society.
Yeah.
I think I could make an argument that you're actually violating the non-aggression principle by doing it, and I should get to be able to chuck you out of a helicopter.
I'm willing to agree with this.
Take their land.
Well, they probably don't believe in private property rights, so A, it's not their land, and B, I probably can't take it because they'll have some sort of weird mental gymnastics that'll prevent me from doing those things. But
or they just don't actually own anything because, you know,
communists.
Yeah,
they're broke.
Because they put it all into a belly tattoo.
Bernie bros.
Yeah. A sweet belly tattoo that says alone.
Alone.
That's how they're gonna die.
Well, you may as well go out like you lived.
Yeah. Yeah, like if only not voting meant that nobody got in.
Yeah, I would totally be, if it was like actual representative democracy.
Yeah,
and
but
60% of people didn't vote, so like 60% of the seats in the House just didn't get filled.
But if that was the case, though, there would actually have to be a legitimate thing on the ballot that is none of the above, and not that stupid party that's none of the above, but like a legit, if I tick this box because I'm actively going and ticking this box, like I'm getting off my ass, I'm going to the station to vote, and I'm ticking this box that says nobody, that counts as a non-vote. You would still need to exercise some agency because not going and voting means you don't give a shit who wins. Going and voting for nobody means that you don't want any of those candidates to win. There's a difference.
So in Ontario, what you want to do if you want to do that is actually ask the returning officer at the polling station to decline your ballot. And this will confuse them immensely, as it did recently in Barrie at an advanced poll.
Yeah.
But the decline ballot option is actually you refusing to cast a vote, and you must do it in person at a place of polling.
But the problem is even if, like, say everybody in Ontario, less one person does that, and one person goes and votes, the party that they vote for wins.
Yes.
That's the problem with the system.
Well, that's one of the problems with the system.
Well,
but I
yes.
mean, democracy in general is problematic because of things like this.
Yeah.
I have a button for this.
The solution is a Starship Troopers-like military model where you have to serve to get franchised.
See, Tyler, as usual, is right.
Yes. I mean, if we have the right to vote, and if you want to not do that, that's fine. That's your right, but that's stupid. You know?
Yeah, but get down there and you cast your vote for Buck a Beer for your poor Ontarians who've been spending so much damn money on beer for the last.
Yeah, that's what I would like people to do, but like as much as I dislike a bunch of the parties and I think they're useless, I at least respect somebody going out and voting for something they believe in more so than people that are just like, oh, it doesn't matter. I'm going to just not vote. I don't like anyone. I'm not voting. Like, it sucks voting for the lesser evil. I don't like it. I don't want to do that, but I'm still doing what's best for me.
I disagree. Because of the way that our parliamentary democracy works in Ontario, there's something like 28 different parties running across all of the different districts in Ontario. Go and look at your parties in your polling district. What do you call it? You're in your riding, and find out which party you actually like. If you don't like one, if you don't like any of the choices, if the Young Communists of Canada, the NDP, the Liberals, the Conservatives, the Freedom Party, the None of the Above Party, the Libertarian Party, if none of these parties appeal to you, go and get 200 of people that you know. I was going to say of your friends, but they don't even. Just go get 200 people to sign the sheet and form your own political party.
Fair.
And see if anybody likes your idea, because it's a representative democracy and that's how it works. I mean, hell, we have the Green Party holding seats in the federal parliament.
Yeah.
They're the fringy leftist Green Party.
Yeah, I really wish we had
like a real
proportional representation rather than this stupid first past the post nonsense. because then some of the parties I would actually maybe vote for might have a chance of getting at least a seat or two and doing something. But with first past the post, you're kind of always stuck strategically voting because you know that, like, unless you happen to have a really strong candidate in that area for some of those fringe parties, whatever they are, they're never going to win enough people that they'll do anything.
Oh no, I'm. This is the problem. Like, I would very much like to be able to vote Libertarian, but there's no way that Alan Small and the Libertarian Party is going to hold any sort of any number of seats in Ontario. Okay, maybe I'll get lucky, and this is the year that we finally have a Libertarian get elected into a parliament in Canada. But I kind of doubt it.
Yeah, because chances are anyone that's voting that way, they're going to be in a riding where they've got to basically pick one of the big three because the Libertarian candidate's probably not all that well known, doesn't have a whole hope in winning, sadly. And they'll probably vote blue, hopefully, because they have to. Because otherwise we're going to end up with communism.
Well, and that's the way I kind of look at it, is that we need
a different system
something
altogether.
Different. Because this system isn't working.
Yeah.
And I don't know. We could LARP about this a lot more, but this system doesn't work. Go out and vote for something, because not voting for anything doesn't get the rest of us any further.
And as much as I don't like that old fuck Alan, I am so glad to see so many yellow Libertarian signs out, because the concept is catching on. And I appreciate that. I just wish that a vote for them actually did something, right? Because I think there's enough people province-wide that if it was proportional representation, they would actually get a few seats and be able to maybe make some small changes.
Well, and we've talked about this before. How do you do that? How do you hold them accountable to constituents if it's representational across the entire population? Then how do you figure out who comes from where?
It's hard.
There are many problems with any of the alternative systems. There are not problems with the current system, but
yeah, I mean, it's not like the people are, beholden to their constituents now anyways, because you never know who your person is going to vote. Like, are they going to vote based on what their constituents want, or are they going to vote based on what the party wants? You never know.
They're going to vote on both. They're going to vote based on what the party wants. We've seen that time and again because of the way that they whip votes. I mean, this is more so true at the federal level, but I mean, it happens at the provincial level too.
Yeah. But there's always a few, and you're like, but nobody in this constituency wants this particular, we want 90% of what the party says, but this 10% we disagree with completely. But they're still going to have to, vote that way, even though that everyone in their riding doesn't want it, which is garbage.
Yeah, absolutely.
Makes me angry.
A lot of things make me angry. That's definitely one of them.
I blame Monsef. Fucking cunt.
I'm going to blame Morneau because I don't like the finance minister for a myriad of reasons. The most recent of which, we're going to switch gears again. Coming to us from the CBC, Liberals to buy Trans Mountain Pipeline for $4.5 billion to assure expansion is built.
Yeah.
I literally can't even. Someone hand me my Uggs, because I just can't.
Yeah, I'll mix you up a pumpkin spice latte there.
What the I'm sorry. We're federalizing energy in Canada. This is it. This is the end of Canada. I'm calling it. This is it. The federal government has decided to federalize the energy sector in the country. I don't mean the way that the provinces do with like Hydro One and stuff. I mean the federal government is now going to be in charge of supplying crude oil to the entire country because we're buying, the federal government is buying on behalf of Canadian taxpayers, because remember, that's who we're supposed to be representing, because democracy and stuff. $4.5 billion to buy this thing to make sure it's built. That's not even the cost to build the fucking thing. That's how much the rights to own it are.
Yeah,
They think it's going to cost about $7.5 billion more to build than what's already been spent.
because they fucking railroaded the fucking thing so hard throughout the whole process that nobody wanted to fucking build it.
But that's the thing. They allowed protesters in BC to fuck them over for so long, and then like the Kinder Mountain, just like not, you know what I mean, Kinder Morgan, the
No,
Trans Mountain,
Kinder Mountain. That's the place where you get the eggs.
Kinder Mountain. Yes,
Yeah, it's fucking delicious.
you can't get it in the States.
Tiny little toys and chocolate eggs. Our American listeners have no idea what this is. In Canada, you can buy toys that come inside of chocolate eggs around Easter. It's
Not just Easter. That shit's available year round, bro.
that's a good point. It is available year round.
Yeah. Fucking awesome.
But the chocolate's overly waxy and the toy's a piece of shit. But
But you can't buy it at all in America because American children are too dumb and would eat the toy and die.
yes.
Yeah.
Thanks, FDA.
But like
Freedom,
yeah.
baby.
But
Freedom
the
eggs.
government did not protect businesses that were trying to invest in Canada and create jobs. That's my take on it.
But
And then as soon as they were,
businesses.
businesses don't create jobs. Government creates jobs.
yeah, you're right. But anyway, they hamstrung the company, and then they came in and bought them at a fire sale. And I tell you, given some other decisions that have been made by the government and some family members of a certain finance minister, I would like to do like a forensic audit on Morneau Chappelle and see if they made any move that benefited this. Like,
It's okay
from
because
this.
he has plans to meet with the forensic audit team. He just hasn't scheduled that yet.
Oh yeah, wouldn't want to get another $200 fine, but
Yeah. And those things are awfully steep. They cut deep, man. Deep. With all of his French fry money. And
This
skating
thing
rink
makes me
money. And
This thing makes me so angry that we're spending this money to federalize a pipeline.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I mean, so it gets worse. And this is the part that really triggers me. So if you live in BC, you're paying taxes to the BC government to sue the Alberta government over this pipeline. If you live in Alberta, you're paying the Alberta government as part of the lawsuit against the government in BC. If you live anywhere in Canada, you're paying for the purchase of this pipeline and also funding of those two provincial governments to sue one another over this pipeline. There is no way to win on this as a taxpayer.
No.
There's absolutely no way to win.
yeah, we've
Yeah.
achieved peak government.
yeah.
Well, we surely have not achieved peak
Yeah.
oil as a result of this stupid maneuver.
But really,
Yeah.
like, why in the hell would any business seriously think about making a big investment in Canada with the way that they treated Kinder Morgan at Kinder
you
Mountain?
can't. You honestly can't.
Yeah, they sat there. They let them like
Yeah.
again.
I mean-
like I don't know. They let them get hamstrung and shut down by protesters and like provincial governments, and then you know they come in and like now you're gonna what are you gonna do? Compete against the nation? Like
Yeah.
what are the other oil industries going like the other oil companies going to do?
Yeah,
in
I mean,
Canada?
they've effectively, yeah,
You're paying
Yeah.
taxes to your competitor.
yeah. They have a
This is
stranglehold on the flow of chocolate eggs and toys.
Yeah.
That, like, it's ridiculous.
We've reached levels of absurdity that shouldn't even be possible.
Yeah, it's government operating at peak government. Like, it's. I mean, the fact that you can have one government organization sue another government organization is absurd to begin with. Like, okay, great, we won, so we take a bunch of government money from taxpayers and shift it over here to our other pocket. Like, what does that solve? Nothing.
No, this is
absolutely
absolutely
nothing.
absurd. This is so dumb.
Like, you know, if government wants to sue private citizens and private citizens wants to sue government, that at least makes sense. But government suing government, it's from one pocket to the other. There's no benefit one way or the other, but a whole bunch of money is going to get spent in the process. It's just fucking wasted. If they had just done their job and enforced rules and regulations when it comes to protesting and stuff like that, like, fine, you want to go and hold up signs or whatever, go ahead. But like, if you're gonna, be on private property and do this and that and be a general fucking nuisance, fucking arrest them. The pipeline would have got built. But no.
No, if they would have literally just let the law be enforced.
Yeah.
I got nothing for that. This makes me sad. All right. And then apparently I broke the Fraser Institute's website, so we'll skip that. So let's talk about being part and parcel of living in a big city. And by that, I mean all of the shootings that are happening in Toronto recently.
It's probably all of us legal gun owners that are the problem.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that, because we have a number of articles about a number of shootings that have happened in, unfortunately, Ontario recently, predominantly in Toronto, but also Pickering, which
it's GTA,
not part of Toronto, as far as I know. Yeah, it's close, right? But it's not quite.
Yeah.
Gun crime in Toronto, gun violence in Toronto is up 167% compared to the same time in last year. There was 6 shootings in the past week. Pardon me, that maybe isn't the right figure.
Get close to that.
I feel like there's a Star article that I've got in the show notes. 1 dead, 3 injured after 4 separate shootings in Toronto on Sunday night. I feel like in that same week, this is from the articles published on May the 28th, last Monday. I feel like in this past week, there was an additional pair of shootings resulting in another 2 injuries in Toronto. But in any event,
well, you better get it right, or someone's going to ask us to quote our sources and like.
yeah. I got your source right here.
Yep.
Got this bottle of whiskey. That's my source.
It's at least as honest as any politician that we've ever talked about.
Yeah.
Whiskey's never lied to me.
That's true.
I mean, whiskey's given me some shitty advice over the years, but whiskey's never lied.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a couple of Toronto schools that were had classes canceled following the shooting that took place last Sunday. There's a shooting in the with the Yonge Street Square thing downtown Toronto. What's the name of that place?
Yonge and Dundas.
Yonge and Dundas. Yeah, it's got a name at the square there. But in any event, there was an individual that was shot there recently, like in the past week. That
someone was probably
getting shot a lot in Toronto. And this is the thing. It's like it's downtown Toronto, or it's we should probably talk about the Pickering thing separately. But like,
yeah, we can do that.
These aren't people with hunting guns accidentally shooting other hunters or their neighbors in rural Canada. These aren't.
They're also not like, a guy coming home and catching his wife banging some other dude and like going to
these aren't domestic
gun safe and getting his gun out, and it's
this seems to me, and I mean I don't know these cases personally, but I mean this seems to me that this is all gang and drug related violence in a major urban center. And I hate to break it to Toronto, you're the same as every other big city in North America now, which means the US. So congratulations, all of your U.S. culture that you're so proud of that you're not, because Toronto is not America. You're America now, bro. You're now New York or Chicago or Boston or any other major urban center in the United States. You're plagued by criminal enterprises selling drugs and committing illicit activities and using violence to enforce their will, and a police force that's unable or unwilling to deal with that.
Well, they're too busy going after pot dealers because, that's what's going to bring in all the shekels for government, that they're forgetting about like the criminals that are dealing in actual real like hard drugs and sex trafficking and all that other stuff.
I didn't put it into the show note, but there was an article that I was reading yesterday maybe today, I don't know. And there was an article I was reading recently where all of the statistics for the Toronto police are down. The number of arrests annually is down. The number of crimes being solved annually is down. The solved homicide rate is down. Like absolutely everything in Toronto is down, and violent crimes are on the rise. Gun crimes are on the rise. Gang violence in Toronto is on the rise. The federal government has promised money for guns, gangs, and drugs, but this money apparently hasn't showed up, at least in Toronto yet. I'm not aware of any municipality that has actually received an increase in federal funding, despite what the Liberals have promised.
So I'm just going to go out on a limb here, but do you think this maybe, just to bring everything back to like our first story, has anything to do with cops taking bribes?
I feel that the corruption of our government officials, including the police services, is a big part of this. But the
Interesting
decay and destruction of society on the whole, I think, is a big part of this. The disillusion of the cohesive nuclear family, I think, is a problem for this. There are, I feel, more criminals in society now than there have historically been in the past, and I think that's because of the breakdown of the family unit. I think this is the breakdown of society. People don't have a sense of community. They don't have a sense of belonging. They're effectively trying to get a high score in a real life video game by doing something, whether that's, selling money and making big stacks of paper. I don't know if I'm using the gang lingo properly.
I think you've got that. Yeah, no, that's.
I feel like selling a bushel of marijuana would get you fat stacks.
Yeah, and then you could buy a grill with it.
I guess that's for after you run them over with the truck of peace, or is that the grill for before?
The different grill. It's the
different grill.
The one that you put in your mouth, or your mouth. I think is the way they pronounce it.
So when they ask you a question,
yeah, you can smile and show them your like gold grill with diamonds and shit because you're baller.
Yeah, your grill.
Yeah.
No. There are a lot of societal issues at play. I don't think this is one particular thing, but I hate to break it to the people of Toronto and the police force in Toronto. The gun violence problem, it's not the people that legally own guns. The people that are going through and getting their licenses and have the agency to submit all the paperwork and go to the weekend classes and take the test and wait and have reference checks and give information about their conjugal partners and their mental health history, which if they say they have a history of mental issues anyway, they still tend to get their license approved by the RCMP. Thanks, Freedom of Information Act request for letting us know about that, because the RCMP still gives out licenses. Yeah. So there's a lot of socioeconomic issues at play, but the rate of gun ownership, I don't think, is playing into the violent crime rate in Toronto. These are gangbangers that are shooting one another.
Legal gun ownership.
Yeah, yes, the legal gun ownership. Of course, this is what I mean.
Which I think we should just take a quick pause, because we normally do this at the end of the show, and I'm sure we will then. But that's why C71 is a piece of shit, because that's not going to help any of this.
C71 is a piece of shit. I thought you were going to talk about Rod Giltaca, because that's usually what I talk about at the end of the show.
No, the other thing that we do right before that.
Okay, yeah, C71 is a piece of shit. And it sucks that people are getting shot in Toronto. But you know what the solution to that is? More policing in Toronto, and active policing in Toronto at that. Let's start arresting some people, because as much as like broken glass policing policies suck and carding people is like not respecting their human rights and stuff, places where they card people and have broken glass policies tend to improve, right? You have less gangbangers in those areas.
Yeah.
Right? That's how they cleaned up New York. That's kind of how they cleaned up Chicago. I mean, Chicago was getting worse again, but
I mean, the left loves a good gangbang, though.
Well, and this is the problem. There is a lack of community policing, and they're busy having gangbangs, or they're busy taking bribes from gangbangers, because I guess $250,000 to not do your job and arrest criminals is
on top of the $100,000 you're already making.
Yeah, when you only make $100,000 a year, I guess you should take $250,000 in bribes from people that were. What was that? I forget what narcotic he was charged with helping them distribute cocaine or some nonsense.
Probably fentanyl, because that's like, it's so hot right now. Like, Everybody wants
I
the
don't think
fentanyl.
fentanyl, but like the point still stands. Like if the police were able to effectively enforce the law, and we didn't have to worry about offending the delicate feelings of all the millennials,
Yeah.
we could actually
and the cat ladies.
Well, and the cat ladies are, yeah. I mean, the cat ladies are also problematic, but
Only
the
because
problem
the
is the same
millennials
in-
like the cat ladies.
the problem is the same in all the cases. It's all misplaced social anxiety because these people don't have real families and real communities. Instead of having actual families and children, they have cats. Instead of coming from nuclear families with strong, positive male role models, they come from broken homes, and they don't have a sense of community. So they become criminals, gangbangers.
Yeah. Well, that's what the absence of toxic masculinity does to you. You know, it turns you into a gangbanger.
Hear that, listeners? Spank your children. It'll make them grow up to be better people.
Yeah, they won't get belly tattoos that say alone.
Yeah, and we're not advocating to beat your kids because that's wrong. Like your kid, like if your 2-year-old wants candy, that's normal. It's a 2-year-old. Like, don't give him the candy, but you don't need to like beat your kid because of it. But like every now and again, you maybe need to give your kid a little smack on the butt when appropriate, and that's okay. That's not a bad thing.
Yeah, enforcing discipline in youth is not a bad thing.
If you don't want to hit him, find something else creative, like make him drink some fucking hot sauce. Send them to.
Oh, you mean like? Never mind. I thought because you did. Never mind.
Send him to bed without food. Make him think. Make him cut the lawn. Do something.
Make him watch a wind speech.
Yeah. Oof. That's cruel and unusual.
That is highly unusual. That Child Protective Services will visit you if you do that.
Yeah, I'm curious if the parents that allowed the kids to be playing in the background of her concession speech are getting a visit from Child Services because they should. Because that was uncalled for.
You know who else should be getting a visit from Child Services? Whoever shot up the Pickering Rib Fest. Is nothing sacred? Can we not have a Rib Fest without people getting shot?
Yeah.
So this was over the weekend. Pickering had their Rib Fest. And for whatever reason, at 11:30 on Saturday night, 4 people got shot. But, of course, the Durham Regional Police have released effectively no details about any of that other than the 4 individuals that were shot were all treated at a hospital and released. So, thanks, Durham Regional Police, for really letting us know what's happening in your community. Good community outreach. Excellent community policing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think this kind of goes back to the bombing that happened at the restaurant recently too, where like if they truly don't have a whole lot of details, I'm fine with them not making shit up, because I would rather not have details than like wild speculation.
Yeah,
but then they need to say something about that and the lack of information and say, this is all we have right now. We're digging into this.
Where's my button? That's not the button. The media. Nope, that's still not the button.
No.
I don't know.
We could fix it.
My echo machine's broken, but the media is applying 2 different sets of standards: things that fit their narrative and things that don't.
Well, yes.
The bombing in Mississauga and the shooting in Pickering. In both cases, the media has said in like single sentences in like 400-word articles that this may not be a random act. No freaking kidding. You don't say. But any other time there's any sort of violent incidents, of course, blame guns, blame gun owners, blame white men.
Yeah.
Do all like the normal song and dance that they do to try and take away my rights and further restrict my freedoms.
Yeah.
But in cases like this, there's no additional information. And it seems very suspect to me because I don't feel that the media is reporting these cases accurately. Because if they knew that some duck hunter went and shot up the Pickering Rib Fest because he was upset about something, or, he went and found his cheating wife there with her lover and shot them, like, this would be in the news, and that Wendy Sukier would be wanting to take away my guns.
Yes, and I agree. The media is entirely to blame for all this, and you never know what to believe now because when there are instances like the stabbing at the Canadian Forces Recruitment Center, and the guy is screaming "Aloha Snack Bar" as he's stabbing people, they don't report that. And when the other guy with the truck or whatever like rammed into a bunch of people, not the one that just happened, but like another one, and he had like an ISIS flag on him or whatever, they didn't report that. And that stuff comes out fairly quickly after the fact, and you're like, but why isn't anyone talking about this? And it's quite clear that they're hiding something. But I mean, in this instance, with this Pickering thing, like I see, unfortunately, people on the right, typically the far right, that have come out and said that immediately that it's ISIS or terrorist related, and they're angry and they shot up Ribfest because they're selling pork products during Ramadan.
That
And like shit like that drives me nuts because it's like, if that's actually the case, I want to know that, and I think we should. But I think at this point it's wild speculation, which I saw like during the bombing, and that's kind of why I tied them together, is that you'd see people on the left and the right just wildly speculating about all kinds of this and that and everything else. And it's like, we don't know anything yet. Like, it just fucking happened. But for the shooting, my guess is it's more gang or drug related because, it happened at like 11 o'clock at night and very few people got injured. But that's me speculating. Did Andrew freeze up again? Did we lose him?
Well, I think we did.
Uh-oh. Well, at least I managed to get my rant out.
Yeah, uninterrupted.
Yeah, that was good. But yeah, the media is definitely to blame for everything. Because when shit happens, they don't report it.
Yeah.
Or, like, when it doesn't happen, oh, there he is. I think he's back now.
Oh, is it still live?
Yep. I still see the live thing in the corner.
Excellent. I didn't touch anything this time, so we didn't have to restart the stream, but I feel like I'm having some internet problems of late. That's 2 Mondays in a row where it's cut out.
Well, at least the rest of us were all here. Last week was a shit show for that, for sure.
Yeah, but the edit turned out awesome.
Nice. Well, there you go.
Well, awesome-ish. As awesome as it could be. It is what it is. It's fine.
You get what you pay for. Sorry to our Patreons that paid $1 for that.
Sorry, Patreons. Sincere apologies. All right, one more gun thing. Well, 2 more gun things, I guess. This isn't gun violence in Toronto, but 2 more gun stories. The first of which is a Montreal factory owner has been found guilty of illegally manufacturing firearms. This is the derp is strong with the reporter on this story. And I mean, maybe it's like language barriers because part of it came from La Presse in Quebec, but I don't know. So this factory illegally manufactured pistol-sized machine guns, some of which were used by Toronto criminals. The factory owner claimed he thought he was making paintball guns.
How stupid.
Well, no, I mean, like, how stupid. Well, allow me to show you just how deep the rabbit hole goes there, Alice. They also illegally produced silencers. These submachine pistol... It gets better. These submachine pistols are Tech 9 style 9mm submachine guns.
Sub paintball guns, I believe you mean.
Well, they go on that one of the semi-automatic assault guns was used in one of the semi-automatic assault guns. I ain't even making this up. Like, do you guys not have a fact checker at the Star? Like, at all?
Who needs those? They didn't
even make they didn't even make the good Tech 9s that were the full auto assault guns.
Yeah.
They made the semi-auto Tech 9s.
Ooh.
But also another important part of this article is we've had assault rifles for a long time. I think it was last year or maybe the year before that we made a giant leap forward. And we had assault gloves, and now we have an assault pistol.
Semi-automatic assault pistols.
Another of the assault pistols was used.
Yeah,
Well, so I want to talk about that assault pistol because, again, this doesn't seem like
semi-auto
Canadians.
Tech 9 is kind of stupid.
A semi-auto Tech 9 is super stupid because you've basically made the dumbest submachine gun ever. Because it is neither sub, machine, well, gun I'll give them, but that's where it ends.
Yeah, because there's a lot easier to conceal semi-auto pistols. Tech 9 that's semi-auto.
Like, you couldn't even put the fun switch on it?
Yeah, if you're going to make them illegal, again, make it full auto. Like, you can't even criminal right.
Yeah. But these things have gotten around. They've
oh yeah. Apparently they've made over 30 of them.
Yeah.
And the fellow that owns the factory says that they were made without his knowledge or consent. And in quote, I have a court quote. I have 2 big fingers and I do not have the dexterity to assemble a Tech 9. For me, paintball, there was nothing criminal. He legit thought like people in his factory were making paintball markers. I don't understand how he owns a factory that has a machine shop and he thinks he lacks the dexterity to use those machines, though, because that I would not be buying anything from this man.
Yeah, it's amazing they worked.
I mean, he claims that it wasn't him that made it. It was somebody that works in his factory that was making these things. But I mean, like, who accidentally makes Tech 9s? Like, who accidentally makes a gun? It doesn't matter what kind of gun. Who accidentally makes it? You know what? I'm going to make this great paintball gun. Well, why has it got a firing pin in it? Well, for paintballs.
Yeah.
And I love
you guys don't have sweet center fire paintball guns chambered in 9mm paintballs.
But I love that a witness who was not identified at court testified. Hoyt told him the guns required silencers, and this is the quote, because the customers were playing paintball at night and did not want the guns to make too much flash and noise.
I feel like we don't know how paintball guns work in Montreal.
It could happen.
But like, maybe it's Detroit where they've been running around and paintball guns up, real guns down.
The no lacking paintball challenge.
Yeah.
So it only goes on to get weird though, because one of these guns, one of the semi-automatic assault guns, was used in a November 13, 2016 robbery of a brothel in Scarborough.
Wait, so an illegal gun was used in a crime against an illegal operation? Weird.
It gets weirder. No one was injured in the Scarborough brothel robbery, in which 7 people were ordered to the floor at gunpoint. Hate to be the odd man out in that group, court documents said. The heist netted 2 robbers, 2 cell phones, $650 in cash. What the hell kind of brothel? And a jacket worth $2,400.
Yeah, that's not a whole lot of money.
Is Andrew Horwath there?
Yeah, especially considering that 2 guys probably went halfsies. That's not a whole lot of money,
That's a $2,400 jacket. That's like that's Andrea Horwath kind of money.
I'm not super up on how brothels work. I was under the impression that you were not allowed to operate one in Ontario. Maybe that's not the case, but let's assume that this brothel was an illicit business and it was being robbed by some illicit individuals with some illicit firearms. Why were there 7 people there? And why did they only have $650? There's no way that makes any sense.
What if it was like one pimp or madam? I don't want to assume their gender. 3 customers and 3 employees.
Yeah, again, I'm not. Yeah, I'm sure. I'm not super up on how this works, but yeah,
but that still seems like a disproportionate amount of people to money.
Right. I mean, unless they've got like a credit card system there and there's like a point of sale thing set up. Maybe they've got a Shopify
Yeah, square reader
And
or something.
seriously, who steals a jacket and who has a $2,400 jacket?
Maybe it's a timeshare. It's a timeshare wars.
Yeah, the jacket was worth more than the business. That's for sure. That's
This is my good pimpin' jacket.
yeah. Maybe it was like a Technicolor dream coat, if you will.
I won't. But yeah, so it turns out that the illegal firearms are being used by criminals against other criminals, which
Weird.
I don't hate, but I don't think is the right way to go about solving the problem.
Yeah, but like, section. Oh, wait, no, there is no section in C-71 that deals with that. Weird.
Nothing about brothels and
Oh, and I'm pretty sure in C-70,
fire paper.
C-75 though, there's some stuff that deals with that, but it lets all those people out of jail earlier, so that's not good.
Yeah.
Weird. I thought the liberals were going to fix all that.
Clown world.
Well, it's okay. Where's the button?
Here we go.
Clown world and the liberals fixing things. We've got one last gun story from the CBC. Ottawa looks at regulating imitation guns after police shootings.
Can I do this one? I'll take this one. Okay.
Sure.
They already did. They're prohibited. Done.
Wow, way to take the wind out of my sails. So I mean, yes, that
You
is
can
a
do
good
the real
point.
part now.
No, you're right. So under the existing Firearms Act, imitation firearms are prohibited.
Just like a flechette or a 30-round banana clip.
And like everything else in the Firearms Act, it's super vague and very open to interpretation.
Or a blowgun.
So it is pipe is illegal?
Shit.
Yes. No, I'm not sure. Maybe consult a lawyer. Remember, this is an entertainment program. I think we need to change that. We might be the journalists now because there's some like freedom of speech stuff that I'd like to be protected by. So we might need to be the journalists now.
I'm pretty sure we report more accurate news than anyone else. And at least people hopefully know when we're bullshitting. And we usually admit it too.
Yeah, I mean, we're pretty honest about that, more so than the regular media or any brand of politician. So, yes.
And anything you say while drinking doesn't count, right?
Yeah.
Well, I couldn't consent. I was drunk.
Yeah.
That works if I'm a straight white man, right?
Finally. This is the one time that it does.
Woo! Finally got one. All right. No, so to Tim's point, under the existing Firearms Act, the imitation replica guns are definitely already prohibited, but that doesn't really do anything to stop the sale of them because you can walk into your local Cabela's giant sporting goods store that only caters to law-abiding sports people, and you can buy a BB gun that looks an awful lot like a real SIG P226 and says P226 on the side and has the same controls as a P226, and I'm kind of
except when you rack that slide, it kind of makes you want to puke a little bit, though.
Oh, that's not a good one. Okay, well I'll have to reinvest
because it's that tinny, and you're just like it's unsatisfying.
All right, I'll have to revisit my airsoft pistol choices at some point in the future.
Oh no, the airsoft one's fine. It's the BB gun one is terrible.
No wait, airsoft and BB is the same thing.
I had a nice little Umarex Walther PPK, and it was a CO2 blowback. That was kind of cool gun.
Yeah, so, some of them are really nice. Some of them are just like because it's like hot metal. So when you're
we're not getting autistic about BB guns. It's not. I'm putting the brakes on the fun train.
But Trudeau's gonna legalize pot metal guns.
They're no. So I don't know, whatever the coroner group is for Ontario, there's recently, or not recently, over the last several years, over the last 7-ish years, 8 years, there's been 3 cases where police officers, mostly in Toronto, have shot people brandishing replica firearms.
Wait, they didn't shoot themselves in the leg? No, they're not at the gun range. They're out in the wild. Okay,
That's right.
So they saw someone brandishing an imitation firearm, and then they did a backflip, and then the gun fell out. And
Uncle Mike's holster and went off.
Well, and this is the thing that I don't get is there's all this like concern trolling by various liberals. So long as it's possible to purchase these imitation guns in Canada without any permit process, consumers should be made aware that if such a weapon is seen by police, they may have no alternative but to react to the weapon as if it were a real gun.
Well,
Children have been shot by police after brandishing such imitation guns. Yeah, if you pull a thing on a cop that looks like a gun, you're going to get shot. It doesn't matter if it's a gun. If you tell somebody you have a gun in the commission of a crime, you get charged with using a gun in the commission of a crime, whether it was a real gun or not.
people get shot holding garden sprayers, like hose.
Well, except when you drive a van over a bunch of people and then you tell the cop that you have a gun and make a motion like you're pulling a gun, then you don't get shot.
Yeah,
every other time, though. Yeah, every other time.
Yeah, the one time you want them to get shot.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, don't let your kids play with imitation guns.
I feel like this is more of the like whole socioeconomic decay of society problem, but
yeah,
if you're a police officer and you're in fear for your life, then you get to shoot people. That's the magic phrase. And having someone brandish a replica firearm, I think that counts as being in fear for your life. Yeah. Also, where are these people's parents to tell them not to point things that look like guns at cops?
Yeah. And if your kid's retarded and you think they're going to do that, don't buy them a BB gun. You need to be 18 to buy them.
Yeah, I don't see a need to ban these. There's no need to prohibit them. There's no need to put permits in place for them. Like, if you're a 33-year-old man in 2014 in downtown Toronto that gets fatally shot by the police because you brandished a replica firearm, you're an adult. You should know better. This is nature's way of taking care of you. You're a problem. You've been solved.
Yeah.
This is dumb. Like this is more government regulation that doesn't actually impact criminals.
This is too bad because like when I was 12, I used to go home from school and then like take a real gun and real bullets and go out and shoot things. But like,
but you never once brandished it at a police officer.
No, I don't think I ever did.
Well, that didn't deserve it. But like, it's probably one of those crooked ones that is taking bribes.
Yeah, it's like cover him. He might do a backflip. I think I've milked that for all I can tonight.
It's been pretty good. I do want to thank everybody on the live chat before we start wrapping the show up because there's a couple of good points that I want to raise. The first is Dave. I want to thank Dave for listening, but Dave brings up a very valid point, that something that I have not said recently. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. This is the stupid game and the stupid prize. If you point things that look like guns at cops, the cops get to shoot you. Those are the rules.
So it's not even just that. If you point things that look like guns at anyone that has a gun, you're going to win the stupid prize. Yeah,
it's not a good time. I also really want to thank mi General Augusto Pinochet for joining. We've made Augusto a moderator for the chat because if you can't run Chile, you can at least run the YouTube.
Nice.
I figured he should be able to get to kick people out. He'd be experienced in that sort of work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good
one would think.
Push all the back.
So lots of stuff in the chat tonight, and I want to thank everybody that's tuning in live to participate in that. If you're not listening Monday nights from 9 till 10 something, you're wrong, and you should listen.
Well,
we're funnier live, trust me.
Oh, yeah.
I think we're funnier live. All right, petitions, go to oneclearvoice.ca, fill out petitions, go sign E1608 if you haven't done it yet, because you're a slacker if you haven't done it yet.
Oh, you're getting damn near a communist if you haven't signed it yet.
Yeah, it still hasn't broke 80,000 signatures. It's awful close, but it still hasn't broke 80,000. We also have the 8th annual Firearms Podcaster Network charity shoot coming up July 5th to the 7th. We'll all be there.
Yeah.
Gavin, Tim, me,
Pinochet,
Tyler, and Matt from the International Liberty or Death podcast. A bunch of other less well-known podcasters are likely to be there.
Yeah, nobody wants to see them anyways. Host or no host, we're the people you want to hang out with.
We have rapid fire feedback this week. If you want to send feedback to the show, you should do that by email. Feedback at that's not our thing. Feedback at CanadianPatriotPodcast.com. That might be our email address. It might not be. I don't really know. Who am I? We've got an email from Drew. His subject is government spending. Drew says, I stumbled across your podcast and I'm now a faithful listener. Thank you for trying to get the information out to the people. I listen to your confusion when it comes to government spending. I would refer you and your panel to Saul David Alinsky and his 8 controls for a socialist state. Taking note of control number 3, his relationship with Hillary Clinton is also quite interesting. For more shits and giggles, Google the Tiltler cycle. So long, fellas, and keep up the good work. And I have unkind things to say about Saul Alinsky, so I will elect to say nothing. The Tiltler cycle is relatively interesting. Without getting into it, good times breed weak men.
Oh, yeah.
Weak men breed bad times. Bad times breed good men.
And it just repeats.
And on we go.
Hopefully we're the good men. I guess time will tell.
Well, when we're the victories, we can write. When we're the victors, rather, we can write the history books however we see fit. I mean, the commies have only been doing that for the last 200 years.
Yeah.
I do want to thank Joel for chiming in the chat. We appreciate that you enjoyed the show. It won't be longer. We've tried to do longer shows. It's hard. The alcohol, we slur. It's rough to edit.
Yeah, and then we start getting like borderline shit we can't say.
Yeah, our back teeth start floating, and
there's been a few people that have taken leaks on air though.
All right, let's start wrapping up. Gavin, where can everybody find you on the internet?
The best place to find me is on Instagram at Urbix_GTA or GorillaWorks.
And Tim, where can everybody find you?
You can find me at facebook.com/TimsGoodT-shirts. And if I could just take 30 seconds to wrap up my contest. Last contest, you had to do in 30 words or less what you miss most about Harambe. And Gavin on the podcast suggested that a limerick would probably sway the judgment, and I did. Patrick submitted a limerick about Harambe. It goes thusly: Lowland gorilla, Harambe the majestic, life ended too soon. So, Patrick, you win a Bayonets Out for Harambe t-shirt from Tim's Good T-shirts. Congratulations.
Yeah, way to go.
They're pretty sweet. Wear it and remember Harambe fondly.
It's a classic design, designed by Gavin himself.
Harambe died for our sins.
Yes, he did.
You're going to find a better way to get in touch with the winner than just on the podcast, all right? Because I feel a little bit bad if this is the way that he has to find it.
Nah.
Yeah,
Harambe would have wanted it.
Yeah.
All right, then.
Yeah, I'll contact Patrick.
Good stuff. You can find the show, CanadianPatriotPodcast.com, Instagram, Facebook, /Canadian Patriot Podcast. If you want to get in touch with the show, you can do that at feedback at Canadian Patriot Podcast. Send us an email. Tell us how we offended you. Give me a reason to respond on air. And for all of our listeners out there in podcast land, I would like to remind you.
Well, hold on. You forgot to apologize for bumping somebody.
No, I can't apologize for bumping Rod Giltaca and say that we're all Tommy Robinson in the same show. It's too many people that get confused.
Oh, that's fair. That's fair.
So reminding all of our listeners out there in podcast land that we are all Tommy Robinson.